Hi. I would like to just give my thoughts, my opinion on the situation in Kentucky. Clerk of Court, Kim Davis, who is now facing a lawsuit for refusing to give a marriage certificate, something to the gay couple. You know, there's the difference between the church and state, but if you're working for the state, you should follow what the state is telling you. If a pastor, let's say there's a pastor, and a gay couple came to this pastor, and they wanted to get married to a pastor, and then the pastor refused. Then the pastor, and then the gay marriage will sue the pastor. Then the pastor can give his defense on the grounds of separation of church and state. The Supreme Court is wrong for saying that the well, if about the same-sex marriage. There is a separation of church and state. Holy matrimony is a church thing. Since it's a church thing, it's a church ordinance. And the government cannot say to a church what and what they cannot do and or do to their ordinances. It's their ordinances. Holy matrimony is part of church ministry. Now, I'm afraid that someday that the government will tell to a priest or to a pastor what and what they cannot preach in their church. Now, see, there is a separation of church and state. Now, if the gay couple came to this pastor and the pastor will say, I cannot marry you, I cannot officiate your marriage, but you can go to the government. Since the government is the one who permitted same-sex marriage, then you should go to them and let them officiate your marriage. Example, you can go to a mayor, you can go to a judge to officiate your marriage. But as a pastor, we cannot do that. We cannot officiate your wedding. Now, the pastor can say that he on the grounds of separation of church state. Remember, it's the state who legalized same-sex marriage. It's not the church. The church did not permitted same-sex marriage. So it's the government. Then go to the government. Let the government officiate your marriage. You know, everybody deserves to be happy. If that's what they want to do, okay, everybody deserves to be happy. But we have to respect each other's right. The gay couple has their right, so they can go to the government and officiate their marriage and be happy. But the pastors has the right of religious belief, and there is a separation of church and state. Now, the clerk of court, Kim Davis, is wrong. You know why? Because she is working for the government. Clerk of court is a government institution. It's not a church. It's not a church office. You're being paid by the taxpayers and the government. I mean, you're working for the government, for the people. You're not working for the church. Now, let's say you're a judge. A gay couple came to you and they wanted you to officiate your wedding, and you cannot do it because you're a good Christian. Then resign that position as a judge. Or if you're a mayor and you don't want to officiate a marriage, then resign. If you think you're going to sin against your God, then you resign your position in the government and be a good Christian. Now, if you're a clerk of court and you can it's against your religion to give a marriage certificate or contract to gay couples, then you should resign. I know someone, I think in California, someone who resigned his position as clerk of court because he's a Christian and he doesn't agree on gay couples. Now, that's the right thing to do because same-sex marriage is permitted by the government. So let the government officiate the wedding, not the church, because the church is not the one who approves on same-sex marriage, and there is a separation of church and state. The government cannot tell to the church what they can do or cannot do. At the same time, the church cannot tell the government what and what they cannot do. That's why a pastor or a church cannot go to the Supreme Court and say, hey, you should not do this, you should not do that. And at the same time, the Supreme Court cannot go to a church and say, oh, in your church ordinance, you cannot do this. Or in your baptism, you cannot do this. Or in your preaching, you cannot. There is a separation between church and state. That's why my thought, to Miss Kim Davis, I admire your faith. I admire your dedication to the Lord. But we have to be fair. We have to be fair to everybody. If you think you're going to sin on your job, then resign your job. God will provide you a better job if really reason for your resignation is to serve the Lord. So I'll pray for you. All right.